While she laughed with her lover in our backyard, I did something that turned her life into. I've been a lurker here for a while, trying to process the mess that's become my life. Long story short, my wife Jeanette and I had been married for 8 years, together even longer, and we have 2 small kids. This year had its rough patches, sure, but I never thought anything we were going through could push Jeanette to cheat. Lately, she'd become distant. Something wasn't right. She stopped engaging, avoided conversations, and her phone was always in her hand, face down when I entered the room. I confronted her one night. She said she was unhappy and didn't feel the spark anymore. I blamed myself at first. Thought maybe I hadn't been attentive enough. Maybe I'd taken her for granted. But the next day, I saw a strange message pop up on her phone, very lovey-dovey. I checked her texts. What I found? A long-running conversation with a man named Brian. I love you. Our future together. That kind of crap. It destroyed me. Still, instead of confronting her then and there, I decided to play it smart. I read through everything I could find. Took screenshots. Backed everything up. Contacted a couple of lawyers. I needed to get my head straight. A couple of days later, I calmly asked Jeanette if she was having an affair. She didn't answer right away, just stared at me. But after a few minutes, she confessed. Said it had been going on for 6 months. Claimed it was the deepest emotional connection she'd ever had. I knew that was BS, just the affair fog talking, but hearing her say it crushed me all over again. I gave her a list of boundaries. No contact with Brian, marriage counseling, full transparency. And I asked her to cut things off with him right there, in front of me. She resisted. She actually insisted she needed to see Brian one more time for closure. That was it for me. I told her that if he was so important, she could pack her things and go live with him. That shut her up for the moment. She did eventually send him a goodbye text and showed it to me, but my gut told me she wasn't done, that she'd find some other way to reach him. I don't think there's any hope anymore, and honestly, I don't want there to be. I just want to be able to tell my kids one day that I at least tried. We have our first marriage counseling session tomorrow, but deep down, I know it's over. Part of me wants to file for divorce immediately. The other part worries about rushing things because of the kids. But what's the right move here? After reading through the advice, I went ahead and finalized the paperwork with my attorney. All it needed was a date to have Jeanette served. And yeah, I knew deep down this wasn't going to end well if I kept being the doormat. I had to think about my future, and more importantly, our kids. Someone said something that really stuck with me. Don't cool the rage too early. Stay in control. That helped. I took advice from the comment and started locking away the proof, screenshots, texts, all of it. Just in case she ever tries spinning the story for the kids in the future. I don't plan to use it unless absolutely necessary, but better safe than sorry, right? One of the hardest pills to swallow was realizing that trying to work it out would do more harm than good for everyone. Kids aren't dumb. They notice when one parent gets walked all over. And if they grow up seeing that, they'll start accepting that same behavior in their own relationships. I couldn't let that happen. When Jeanette kept pushing to see Brian one last time, I knew it wasn't going to be the last time. That was the turning point. She wasn't remorseful, just addicted. Addicted to whatever fantasy she'd built in her head. These past few weeks have sucked. Not gonna sugarcoat it. I've been doing a lot of soul-searching. Jeanette and I did go to counseling, only a couple of sessions. The therapist was fair. Didn't take sides. Just asked questions that helped us see the structure of our relationship more clearly. And yeah, we had issues. But none of it justifies cheating. The therapist helped me understand some patterns, ones I'll definitely look out for in the future, but nothing that excused what Jeanette did. The worst part? Even after agreeing to cut Brian off, Jeanette kept sneaking little messages to him. Thought I wouldn't notice, but I did. She got more careful, deleted chats, locked her phone. But the vibe was unmistakable, she was still talking to him. So, I filed, and a few days ago, Jeanette was served. I also had a long talk with my father-in-law. We'd always been close. I needed him to know what was happening, not just for support, but because I wanted our kids to still have a strong extended family on both sides. He was devastated. Said he didn't recognize the person his daughter had become. Jeanette was furious at first, screaming, crying, accusing me of betrayal. But her therapist helped calm her down and walked her through why I did what I did. And that's when it started to hit her, slowly, that this wasn't just a bump in the road. That real consequences were happening. She was starting to realize what she stood to lose. Now, I'm living in the same house. Different bedroom, different world. We barely speak. just trying to keep things stable for the kids. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I'm starting to feel a tiny bit of peace. So here we are, still living under one roof in Asheville. Because I want to spend every possible moment with my kids, I haven't moved out yet, and I'm not planning to until I absolutely have to. Jeanette and I are in separate rooms. It's weird, but it works barely. I've set hard boundaries and I'm sticking to them. I've fully committed to gray rocking her. I don't engage in unnecessary conversations. I don't ask questions. I don't react. I'm polite for the kids' sake, but distant. At night, I disappear, either going out with friends, hitting the gym, or just working on myself. Jeanette doesn't know where I am or what I'm doing, and I think that's driving her a little crazy. And yeah, I'm okay with that. The kids are young, but they can feel the tension. So I've made it my mission to keep things light around them. I've even sucked it up and joined family dinners when necessary, just so the kids don't feel like their world is falling apart. It's delicate, a balancing act between self-respect and stability for the little ones. But I'm managing. I made another post recently, and I got a lot of encouragement. Someone said the best thing I can do is show my kids how a man should behave when everything falls apart, with dignity. That stuck with me. I know Jeanette still sees Brian. I don't even need proof at this point. It's written all over her. Her secrecy, the nervous glances, the phone always face down. I don't ask. I don't react. I just keep living. But here's the funny part. Ever since I served her, she's been acting different. Like she's surprised that I followed through. I think she genuinely thought I wouldn't be able to walk away. She thought wrong. We've been talking more civil conversations, focused mostly on the kids. And in those moments, I see glimpses of someone realizing what they've done. Not guilt, exactly, but a flicker of understanding. I've told her that she caused deep damage. That healing, if it ever happens, will take time and effort on her part. But I'm not doing the work for both of us anymore. I did that for too long. Jeanette's actions were selfish, self-centered, but at the end of the day, we still have to co-parent. That's my focus now. From here on out, I'm moving forward for my kids. And honestly, for the first time in months, I feel strong again. It's strange, living with someone who destroyed your life. Even stranger when that person starts acting like they still have a place in your future. Jeanette's been trying to inch her way back into my life. Not romantically, at least not openly, but in these weird, subtle ways. She offered to help decorate the new place I'm moving into soon. Said we should keep holiday traditions for the kids. Suggested we could all still do things as a family. I shut that down immediately. I told her she torpedoed our marriage, that she wanted a new life, so I'm giving her exactly what she asked for, without me in it. She looked stunned, like she couldn't believe I meant it. I reminded her that I'm not her husband anymore, and I'm not her friend either. I don't know what this is. Guilt? Image control? Maybe she thinks if we stay friendly, it'll soften how people see what she did. Thing is, I know Jeanette well. She's always cared about appearances. Always posted perfect moments on social media, trying to keep up the illusion. But this feels different, more manipulative. I've stopped sharing anything with her. She doesn't get to know my plans, my schedule, my thoughts. I keep communication strictly about the kids, nothing else. I even started considering co-parenting apps, just to keep things logged and neutral. When I told her she wouldn't be a welcome guest at my new home in Black Mountain, she acted hurt. Said she just wanted to help, but I'm not falling for it. I won't let her decorate the life she wrecked. And then there's Brian. So far, he hasn't shown his face, but I know he's still around. Jeanette still hides her phone whenever I'm nearby. The vibe is obvious, she's still seeing him, but I don't care. Let them have each other. They deserve each other. Two cheaters, trying to build something from the ashes of a marriage they helped destroy. I won't be part of their story. I won't even be in the same room with them if I can help it. My daughter's birthday was coming up. I'd already celebrated with her the weekend before, just something small with my family, nothing fancy. Her little smile, it was everything. Then Jeanette threw her "look how awesome I am" party. She invited me, of course. Tried to play it off like we were just a big happy blended family now. But I found out, through a mutual connection, that Brian was going to be there too. Yes, Brian, the affair partner, the man she wrecked our family for. I couldn't believe it. I confronted her, told her flat out that inviting him was a disgusting move. She didn't respond. To make it worse, I knew her friends, co-workers, and even some family, people who knew about the affair, would be at that party. At our old house. My house. It felt like a setup. I talked to some friends about it. A few of them said I should go anyway. Show up confident. Put on a smile. Let her and Brian see what they lost. Others said not to give her the satisfaction. Stay away. Don't play her game. I was torn. On Saturday morning, I made my decision. I got a fresh haircut. Wore a clean button-down. Drove up in my car. I hadn't told Jeanette I'd changed my mind about attending. She thought I was coming. When I pulled into the driveway, the first thing I saw was Brian's car, that pathetic, beat-up excuse for a vehicle parked down the road. I didn't knock. Just walked around to the backyard. And there they were, Jeanette and Brian, putting up decorations like nothing was wrong. They froze when they saw me. Both of them. Brian looked like he'd seen a ghost. Couldn't even meet my eyes. He mumbled something like, "Oh, hey, man." I just smiled. Told them I was there to drop off my daughter's card and gift. Nothing more. Jeanette suddenly flipped. "Wait, you're not staying?" she asked, like she hadn't orchestrated the most uncomfortable ambush in history. I politely declined. Said I'd go see our daughter at her grandparents' place later. Then turned to Brian, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "See you around, buddy," and walked out with my head high. Within minutes, Jeanette was calling me, begging me to come back to the party. I didn't answer the first few. When I finally picked up, I calmly told her no. Then I drove to her parents' place, gave my daughter her gift, played with her for a bit, and left like nothing had happened. Didn't bring up Brian. Later that night, I got a text from someone who'd been at the party. Said the vibe was awkward. Brian didn't talk to anyone. Jeanette barely acknowledged him. Her family avoided him. It was obvious. Everyone knew something was off. After that party, I got a text from Jeanette's cousin, one of the few people on her side of the family who didn't turn on me. He said, "Man, let's grab some beers this week. Your presence was missed." So we met up, had a few drinks, and that's when the full story came out. Apparently, the whole party was a train wreck. People were looking at the ground, avoiding eye contact, trying not to acknowledge what everyone knew, that Jeanette had invited her affair partner to her daughter's birthday party and expected everyone to play along like nothing happened. Brian? The guy barely said a word. He wasn't introduced to anyone, didn't interact with the guests, mostly stood off to the side like a hired caterer, waiting for instructions. Jeanette kept her distance from him too, like she was embarrassed. Her parents? Sat by themselves. Didn't talk to Brian at all. Her dad, who used to greet me like a son, apparently looked like he'd bitten into a lemon the entire time. Someone on her extended side actually whispered, "This is classless." Jeanette told everyone I was coming. So when I didn't appear, and Brian did, the math added up real quick. Nobody asked questions, but you could feel the shift in the air. That made me laugh. Not out of spite, but because for once, I didn't do anything, and it worked better than any confrontation ever could. After that day, Jeanette didn't bring up Brian. Not once. Didn't even try to explain why he was there. She just quietly moved on like it hadn't happened. But I could tell she knew she'd crossed a line, and everyone had seen it. I went back to focusing on myself. Kept working on the house in Black Mountain. Started building out a home gym. Bought a punching bag and hit it whenever the stress kicked in. Not out of anger. I didn't date. Didn't post on social media. Didn't explain myself to anyone. Jeanette, on the other hand, kept posting curated photos of her new life, perfect smiles, filtered sunlight, happy captions. But nothing with Brian. It said more than any post ever could. It's been almost 2 months since the divorce was finalized. My new house in Black Mountain is perfect. Big fenced yard, fire pit, garage, even backs up to a nature preserve. For a guy like me who loves the outdoors, it's heaven. And the best part? It's mine. Not ours, not hers, not a shared space with ghosts and old memories. I chose to take a buyout during the divorce. It meant walking away from the old house in Asheville, the place I helped build, where we raised our kids. It didn't take long to make it feel like home. I furnished it room by room, added personal touches, and built the gym I'd always wanted. I've been training regularly, for days a week, no exceptions. My therapist says the physical progress mirrors the emotional, and I believe it. Even she commented on it during our last session. "You're putting on weight in all the right places, Simon. Inside and out." My kids love the new place. They come over on the weekends and have already made a few neighborhood friends. We have our own routines now, bike rides, movie nights, backyard camping. They've adapted better than I could have hoped, and they keep telling me they love it here. As for Jeanette, she's still in fantasy mode. Still trying to play the part of the successful, thriving single mom online. Still curating her life for the algorithm. Still hiding Brian from the world, which I find endlessly hilarious. You claim it's the greatest emotional connection of your life, and yet he's nowhere to be seen? If you have to hide it, maybe it's not that great. And the longer she keeps sneaking around, the clearer it becomes. They were never proud of what they did. They were addicted to the secrecy, to the thrill. Now that the thrill is gone, they're left with each other, and I'm not sure either of them is happy about that. But that's not my concern anymore. I've thrown myself into work, took a chance on a new career direction, and it's already paying off. Promotion talks are on the table. People are noticing. I show up, focused and energized. It's wild how much peace you can find when no one's lying to your face. I've also started helping out some of the other guys in online forums, guys who were where I was a few months ago. Lost, shattered, furious. I tell them what you all told me. Keep moving forward. It gets better. Because it really, truly does. I'm now 6 months past D-Day, and about 2 months post-divorce. That number used to feel impossible. Back when Jeanette's betrayal first came to light, I couldn't imagine surviving even 1 week. But here I am standing tall. The house is fully set up now. Every room feels like me. My little sanctuary in Black Mountain is no longer just a project, it's home. And more than that, it's peace. She still tries to make small talk. Tries to act like we're still a team. Occasionally throws in lines about how we should keep traditions or how things don't have to be awkward. We are not a team. We are 2 parents, nothing more. And yet, she keeps probing, probably hoping I'll crack, that I'll open up, that I'll let her back into my emotional space. Not happening. What's really pathetic, though, is how secretive she still is about Brian. 6 months later, and the love of her life is still invisible. My kids have mentioned seeing him occasionally, but always in passing, never like he's part of the family. If it was so amazing, why does it still live in the shadows? The truth is simple. When people cheat, they have to rewrite reality. They turn their spouse into a villain. They invent misery that never existed. They romanticize the affair partner to justify the damage they're doing. That's what Jeanette did. That Brian understood her in a way I never did. That he listened. That he saw her. What she really meant was, he made her feel wanted while putting in 0 effort. But here's what I've realized. That's not my burden anymore. That's her life now. Her bed. Her story to live out. And based on everything I've seen, it's not going quite like the fantasy promised. Meanwhile, I'm free. I spend time with my kids, take care of my body. I'm progressing at work, eat well, sleep better. I stopped asking why and started asking what's next. And I've got plans. Trips with my kids. New outdoor trails to explore. Books I want to read. People I want to meet, eventually. No dating yet. I'm not there. But I will be. When I'm ready. Because unlike her, I'm not trying to replace what I lost. I'm trying to become something better. Nearly a year since, and I'll say this much, some days still *CK. Some mornings I wake up and remember everything all over again. Some nights I lie there wondering how Jeanette ever convinced herself that what she did was okay. But those moments are fading. Most days now, I feel calm. I don't flinch when her name pops up in my inbox. I don't tense up when the kids mention Brian. I don't feel the need to ask questions, dig for answers, or prove a point. Because I've already won. Let's be honest, if Brian was really her great love, he'd be part of her life by now. He'd be helping with the kids, meeting her family, being in photos, tagging her on Instagram. But no, it's still all in the shadows. A year later, and they're still sneaking around like an office fling. My kids have mentioned seeing him in the car or waiting in the driveway. Never inside. Never at family events. He's a ghost with a first name. Why? Because even she knows it's not real. Not what she thought it would be. I think the fantasy started to die the moment I stopped reacting. When I served her papers. When I moved out. When I stopped explaining myself. When I stopped caring. That's when the dopamine crashed. When the game ended. When reality moved in. My house feels lived in now. There are dishes in the sink. Kids' toys in the yard. Books on the table. Photos on the wall. Just me and the kids. And I like it that way. I'm not rushing to fill the space Jeanette left. I'm just filling it with life, my life. I've reconnected with friends I hadn't seen since before marriage. I've even made some new ones. People who know me now, not the me I was when I was trying to hold a broken family together. There's strength in that. If you're listening to this and you're still at the beginning, still shaking, still blaming yourself, hear me. It won't always feel like this. You will get through it. One day, you'll look around and realize your life is no longer defined by what someone did to you. It's defined by what you did next. 6 weeks ago, I stood in the doorway of my new home in Black Mountain, watching my kids run through the backyard barefoot, screaming with laughter. And I realized, this is what peace looks like. The decree's been signed. My name is no longer attached to Jeanette's. No more shared bank accounts. No more shared calendars. No more pretense. Just co-parenting apps and a strict schedule. And even that, I treat like a business arrangement. She said we should still do holidays together for the kids. I told her no. She pushed. I stayed firm. She cried. I didn't. There is no going back. And more importantly, there's no need to. She made her choices. And I've made mine. Brian, he's still just a ghost. From what I hear, he's still in the picture, kind of. Still a shadow man, hiding in parked cars, dropping off groceries like a teenager sneaking into his girlfriend's house. Jeanette never talks about him, never posts photos, never claims him. That speaks volumes. The greatest emotional connection of her life is now just a guy who can't show his face at a birthday party. A guy who helped destroy a marriage and inherited the wreckage. They deserve each other. Last weekend, I had a beer with an old friend, someone who went through a divorce 7 years ago. We talked late into the night, swapping stories, laughing, venting. And then he said something I'll never forget. Dude, think about it. You're free. You can meet someone new, start fresh, walk away if it's not right. But they're stuck. If it fails, and it will, they both look like fools. He lives in your shadow, raises your kids, in your old house, with your ex. That's not love. That's prison. I've been thinking about that ever since. And he's right. To anyone going through this, I remember how dark those first days were. How heavy everything felt. How impossible it seemed to breathe without pain. I remember scrolling through forums like this one, looking for even one person who'd made it through. So if you're there now, in the beginning, let me be that person for you. You can make it. You will make it. And when you do, you'll look back and realize, I didn't lose something. I was set free. Thank you to everyone who read, supported, commented, messaged, and cared. This place saved my life, and maybe, one day, I'll help someone save theirs too. I'm closing this chapter, but the book isn't over.